Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Sandy.
And this is the Italian American Stories podcast. Today we're doing our third Tales from the Archives. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe September-ish or something?
Probably.
Yeah, I need to start putting more of these together. I'd like to do them once a month because I have so many articles that...
Yeah, and they're so fun.
They are.
Most of them are really, well, they are all interesting.
Exactly. And they're just like kind of different little stories because they're just these weird little tidbits that you can't put anything together, but they're fun. And so if you're new to the podcast, or just a reminder, so Tales of the Archives is basically just stories that are interesting, articles that we find that are interesting, but they have little or no research that we could turn into a whole episode. But we still want to share these stories. So,
and you have lots of them.
Oh, binders full. It's horrible. I need to get through those binders. So we've got quite the variety of stories today. Everything from pistols to paint buckets and scary bulls. So here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the bull. That one's kind of fun. So this article is from the Philadelphia Inquirer and is dated September 23rd, 1895. And the incident in this article took place in Woodsville, New Jersey. It's just the Philadelphia Inquirer reporting on it. So here's the story. Antonio Frazzi had to walk about 2 miles every day to get to his job at the Rocktown quarries. But on Monday, his walk was interrupted when he ran into a bull that was loose. So that can't be a fun morning, running into a bull. That'd be a little terrifying. So I guess he was just walking, along on the road, and he passed a boulder. But once he got past the boulder, he noticed that a bull was standing by the road. I'm sure he was probably a little hesitant, but the bull let Antonio pass. But as soon as he passed, the bull started chasing him. So Antonio, of course, starts running and was able to keep away from the bull by dodging behind trees and big boulders. But at one point, poor Antonio, he tripped over a tree root and fell on the ground. And when Antonio got up, the bull struck him.
Oh, whoa.
I know. Now it's getting serious, right? And sent him into a pile of rocks. But he must have not been seriously injured because he was able to jump up onto a tree branch and pull himself up and away from the bull. So what I'm picturing is apparently they're really big boulders wherever this is.
Well, he worked at a quarry.
That's true. So
they probably just have rock piles. Rock piles,
yeah. Because it sounded like from the article, he jumped up on another boulder to reach a tree branch and pull himself up. But this bull, it was persistent and it hung out around the tree for the whole day.
Oh, wow.
So poor guy is just stuck up in this tree until the bull left around evening time. Can you imagine? And at this point, you're probably so terrified because it's already struck you. You're not coming down out of the tree.
And nobody's came by,
apparently nobody's come by. Hopefully he packed his lunch that day. He could eat up in the tree. I don't know. Poor guy. So Antonio, once the bull leaves, he was able to get down and he made it home. Apparently, though, he was badly bruised and his clothes were shredded. But it didn't say anything as far as punctured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Punctured by the, I don't want to.
Bull's horns.
Luckily, though, he didn't get hurt any worse. The farmer, his name was Farmer Crozer. That's what the article called him, Farmer Crozer. He said that the bull is usually not aggressive, but he thinks what happened was the bull was enraged because he saw Antonio's red handkerchief tied around his neck, and this is what caused the bull to give chase.
That's funny that nobody came by.
That's true. I didn't think about that when I was writing this.
Wonder what his workplace thought.
Right? Yeah. And does nobody walk along this road? Maybe he was taking the back road or something.
Yeah.
But poor Antonio, that's a long day. I bet he wished he could have just went to work.
Wonder what the bull ate.
Probably just ate grass around the tree. Probably took a nap. And Antonio's like, you jerk, get out of here. Oh, that's funny.
What if he had to go to the bathroom?
I know. Well, luckily he's a guy.
Yeah, that's true.
He can just go. All right. So our next story, it also takes place in New Jersey and is dated June 19th, 1922. This story involves two women, Marie DeSalvo and Anne Cappuccio. So it sounds like, according to this article, Marie and her husband were separated and Anne was, quote, spending time with Marie's husband. That's how it put it in the article, was spending time with Marie's husband.
Huh.
So Marie spotted the two hanging out and she just started to get angrier and angrier. So every day, you know, she sees her husband, even, you know, they're separated, but they're still married, hanging out with Anne. She's just getting madder. And so one day, Marie saw Anne walking down the street, and she approached her and showed her that she had a revolver in the waist of her skirt.
Wow.
Yeah, so apparently Anne was close enough to her apartment because she ran into her apartment and grabbed her own revolver and came outside and showed her revolver to Marie. So
a gun down in the street.
Gun down in the street, exactly. Like, no, I'll show you my revolver. No, you show me yours. And so this is when the duel between the two women started. The police said that the women were about 15 feet apart when they shot at each other.
Oh, wow. They actually shot.
They actually shot. So you were right when you said that. But they both missed. And after the first shot was fired, the two women just burst into tears. So a policeman who was nearby, he heard the shots and came running over where the two women were. And they were both immediately arrested. And at the police station, the women seemed to be okay with each other by this time. At this point, they were fine. And even Marie was laughing in the police station. And when the police officer asked her if she was okay, she said that she was laughing but crying on the inside.
Oh.
And I think, as I can identify with that emotion,
right?
Been there, done that. I mean, not the shooting part, but the crying and laughing, and so, and you know, sometimes
that's funny.
They're just in the police station laughing and crying, and so. But that was it. That's all the article had. So.
That was it?
That was it. I don't know what happened to the two women.
Is funny.
It is funny because, like, I mean, you know, we don't want to shoot each other, but they shoot each other. They miss. They start crying and they're laughing in the police station. And so, I don't know. I couldn't find anything on what happened to them afterwards. Hopefully, they remained friends.
Yeah.
So, our next story, it takes place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and was reported in the Pittsburgh Press on October 14th, 1910. And the headline reads, "Woman is saved from assailant by faithful dog. Pretty Italian mother declares her life was threatened with stiletto and revolver by fellow countrymen." So that is quite the headline right there. So one day, Miss Rose Amanico, she came running out of her apartment building, screaming and carrying her young daughter, Lucille. And Rose, she approached a police officer and said that a man broke into her home and tried to stab her with a stiletto. And she told the officer that her dog, Carlo, attacked the man, saving her and her daughter. So,
oh, that's good.
Way to go, puppy.
Yeah.
We've got a couple pups here, but they're passed out cold.
Yep.
So the police officer ran into the apartment and he found a man. His name was Raphael, and he was still in the apartment. He was arrested and taken to the police station. And Rose and her mother, they went down to the police station to give their statement. And Rose told the police that she knew who Raphael was. She said that he was constantly asking her to date him, but she would always tell him no. So the day of the incident, Rose said she was in the kitchen doing some scrubbing, and her daughter and the dog were in the kitchen as well, when all of a sudden, Raphael barged into the apartment, and Rose said she could tell he was intoxicated. And she said that, and this gives me the chills, this is creepy. She said that he just stood in the kitchen and stared at her and wouldn't say a word. Ew. So doesn't that give you the chills? Yeah. It's like, oh gosh. And so she said, you know, she immediately felt nervous and she started to walk to the porch, and kind of the way it made it sound like they were on like a second floor. So it was probably like an overhang porch. But I think what she was trying to do was to get him away from her daughter, because she was like, something's wrong here. And so she was kind of moving him away, getting him out of the kitchen. And maybe the only place she could go was the porch. And so he follows her to the porch. Once they get out there, he lunged at her with a knife. And that is when the hero dog Carlo came forward and attacked Raphael. And so this gave Rose a chance to grab Lucille and get out of the apartment. Sadly though, Raphael, he slashed the dog, but Carlo survived. He only had a small cut on his shoulder. So
that's good.
That's good. And Lucille and Rose were able to get out. And Raphael, he had to appear before the judge. He told the judge that he was never going to cut or hurt Rosie. He just wanted to talk to her. Why would you pull out your knife and lunge at her?
Yeah, and stare at her at first.
So the judge told Raphael, quote, "Well, I hardly think I can be too severe with a man of your stamp. I'll fine you $50 or 60 days to the workhouse." Then the judge made a general statement to the courtroom. He said, quote, "It's a mystery to me that murder was not committed." And that was the end. So I'm thinking a man of your stamp, like a man of your stature. So maybe Raphael was known in the community. But I think it's really funny that the judge says, "I'll fine you $50 or 60 days to the workhouse." and then says, I'm surprised he didn't murder her. It's just like such a contradiction.
Wow. I'm just rerunning that through my brain. I'm like,
it's weird, right? Like, well,
was the judge drunk too?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're drinking buddies.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, you're a fine, upstanding person. I can't really do anything to you. So here's $50 or 60 days. And then he's like, man, I'm surprised you didn't kill her. It's just like,
right.
And again, this is coming from a newspaper. So
yeah,
take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But it just.
Wonder what she thought. She's probably in fear.
Probably.
Of him coming back.
So hopefully he left Rose and her daughter alone after that. So our next story, it comes from the Evening Gazette out of Worcester, Massachusetts. Sorry, Massachusetts people, if I said that wrong. And it is dated July 17th, 1919. And two women, Katerina Vesey and another woman named Marie, they became very angry with an Angelo Rossetti, and all three of these people, they lived in the same apartment building. I guess what happened was one day Angelo asked the landlord of the building if he could have a can of paint to paint his kitchen. Of course, the landlord was thrilled with this and happily gave Angelo the paint can. He's probably like, yes, please do that.
Yeah.
So save me some time. So Katrina and Marie, they found out that he had the paint, and they went to Angelo and insisted that Angelo come and paint their kitchens as well. And so they don't live with him, they're just neighbors. Yeah. And Angelo refused, understandably. Like, that's a lot to do. He's not the landlord. He probably has a job,
right.
And so he tells them no, and they're not super happy about it. So the next day, Angelo was coming home from work, and Marie and Katrina, they met him at the door of the apartment building, and they were super upset that he wouldn't paint their kitchens. And according to Angelo, the two women started attacking him. So,
wow.
I know, it's like, if you have that much time to attack somebody, you could probably paint your kitchen.
Yeah, that's true.
But Angelo, he got away and he contacted the authorities, and the two women were arrested and fined $5.
That's funny why they expected him to paint. It's not like their husband or relative. Or...
Exactly. Or he's not even the landlord, and it's just, they were not happy about it. Wonder what their kitchens looked like. It must have been bad. So our last story, it takes place in Pueblo, Colorado, and was reported by the Rocky Mountain News on December 25th, 1905. So there was a Christmas celebration / dance going on, and Lolita Fugia was walking home after the celebration when she all of a sudden felt a sharp pain in her upper left arm. So now I know what you're thinking, heart attack, but no,
right.
Lolita was shot. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, but it makes you think heart attack, right? Because it's left arm, sharp pain.
Right.
Like, oh, Lolita. So at first she didn't know what happened, but when she looked down and saw that her arm was bleeding, she hurried home as fast as she could. And at home, her family called a doctor to the house, and the doctor inspected her arm and told her that she was shot. And Lolita, she was shocked and had no idea how it had happened. So they sent her to the hospital, and the police were called. And when they interviewed Lolita, again, she was like, I have no idea who shot me or even where the shot came from. She was completely like, I have no idea. But the paper made it sound like the police were suspicious of her and felt like she was hiding the identity of who shot her. And so the police said that the whole situation was very mysterious and they did not believe Lolita. So, but that was it. Like, nothing else about it. Never figured out who shot her.
They just put random little, like, they don't say that. Did you hear the shot?
Yes.
Did you hear the gun go off?
Exactly. Like, could you tell us, like, if you were standing there, like, what direction, you know, like, or ask her what direction were you standing so they could kind of figure, like, where were you shot? But that was it. No, nothing else about Lolita. So she probably recovered from her gunshot wound.
Raining bullets that day.
I know, right? It's like Christmas celebration gone wrong.
I'm glad she's fine.
No, me too. But
I hope she was fine.
Yeah, it sounds like she ran home, so she was probably.
That's true.
My guess is it was probably like a graze kind of is what it's.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know because who knows? But and with that weird mystery, that concludes our third Tales from the Archives episode.
Well, they were quite amusing.
Everybody made it out alive. Right. So that's what makes it amusing. They were fun. Yeah. That's what I love about these is, and I think I say this every time, but they're just such cool stories that I want to tell them because they're just fun little tidbits. So please, wherever you listen to podcasts, don't forget to subscribe, rate, follow our social media. We've got Instagram, Facebook, all of that. So if you just type in Italian American Stories podcast, you'll find us. And we hope you enjoyed listening to our Tales of the Archives episode. And we hope you come back to listen to more stories about Italian Americans. See you next time.
See you next time.